My name is Diana Jaleva. As I introduced myself, I'm a student in School of Humanity, and I have four questions for you today.
Okay.
Um, my first question is, what do you think about AI being able to create art?
Well, I think that it's such an interesting idea because creating art is subjective on its own. AI itself is inorganic, whereas humans are usually the things that create art. Or you could say that art is inorganic. There's a lot of different ways you can define things. Um, so what I think about it, I think it's definitely controversial because it is maybe replacing a lot of the effort behind handmade work, but it is also giving opportunity to a lot of the more commercial spaces for graphic design, for speeding up the process for rendering. And so what I think about it is I think it's a inevitable reality that these tools are out there and that as artists, as creatives, that we need to learn about them, learn about what they're good at, what their limitations are, and find ways to either incorporate it or avoid it and just be smart about how you frame it in your creative process.
Okay, great, amazing. My second question is it okay for AI to be trained off of artist's work?
Trained off of artist work. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think it is unless they have permission. I think, or at least more obvious disclosure. And a lot of these, it's kind of like when the internet first came out and it was just the Wild West of anything is possible, everything is free reign. That's kind of what it feels like with AI right now, where all these big companies are just scrubbing the internet for every pixel and they're getting away with it. And so I hope that there comes to be a point where the international governments regulate this to where artists are given some kind of credit, um, either in the form of, a shout out of their work that they put hard to do or some kind of financial compensation. But what's interesting to me is I think of myself in this way, and I think all humans and all intelligence in general is intelligent. Artificial is just inorganic, but I'm an organic intelligence, you're an organic intelligence, and we're all taking in information, distilling it in our own like algorithm, so to speak. And so to say that AI is that much different is a conversation in itself. And so when it comes to like everything I've learned and everything I apply to making my own art, I'm taking inspirations from a lot of different artists, and um, and I can't claim that that was my own, that was my own information, right? I might have distilled it and filtered it through my own genuine experience, and the result is this amazing, beautiful thing. But you could maybe even make the same argument for an AI. I think the difference here is that AI is this new thing that in human society we arguably probably haven't seen before, unless you believe in generations of humans. But we just have to be we have to be aware that this is like silicon. This is the world of digital bits, whereas humans have these intuitions, they have cells. We don't really know the truth of reality, right? So there's like this whole divine aspect of things, and then there's this whole like human constructed mechanical digital world. And I think it's important to separate the two when kind of dealing with these kind of things. Sorry, that was kind of a rant, but big picture, that's kind of how I frame it.
Yeah, it's all right. Um, should every artist have copyrights on their work?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it in the Bulgarian government, but in the US, if you make something that is your own genuine creation, you automatically are given copyright to your work. If somebody literally copies it, passes it off as theirs, makes money from it, you have a better case in court if you're trying to sue them as per copyright law, for example. Yeah, I guess so. The European Union, I would imagine they have something similar, to be honest, but I would be really surprised if they didn't. It seems to be kind of a universal thing to like protect human creation. Um, so yeah, every artist I think should have copyright of their work. But again, like I was saying in that like prior answer, what we're creating as humans involves inputs from so many different sources. And so to be like, this is my thing, whereas in 10 years, that's just going to be a commodity at that point. That'll just be a building block to someone else's creation. So I think we just need to be careful about copyright in general and getting really specific about it. I mean, for example, I'm using digital tools like Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I'm using a bunch of different paint brands. I'm using canvases and all these things interact just on the material standpoint for me to create this amazing thing. So I can't like say that this was me. I think big picture, like it's a good thing I'm not in government because it would be hard for me to like figure all this out. But luckily I think we do have protections. And yes, I do think for the most part, if an artist's attempt is genuine and it really comes from as much of them as possible, it should be copyrighted.
And that brings me actually to my final question. Do you believe AI should be more restricted when creating art?
More restricted when creating art, like specifically creating art versus like spitting out like a word email or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I think so, especially since like ChatGPT, I think is a super useful tool for like putting together an email or doing research. Whereas when you're creating with AI, it's getting so good exponentially that you can trick the public. I see Facebook posts all the time of like people getting sympathy for like wounded soldiers, but the soldiers are obviously fake, and it's just like people are getting fooled by it. And I'm sure scams are happening constantly, and it's this completely unregulated market. So, yeah, I think when it comes to visual imagery, luckily it's not perfect yet. I mean, you see fingers getting mixed up when they're doing AI-based pictures. But I still think I have a good eye for like what's AI and what's not, just because I live in I live in like the digital world right now. Um, but yeah, I think it should be with watermarks. There should be like a way that the internet can determine if something's AI generated, and it should disclose that information. Absolutely. Like misinformation's at an all-time high right now in the world, and there's nothing we need more than like figuring out what's true and what's not. So yeah, I would say art specifically should be um, both from a disinformation standpoint and from like it could get kind of hairy if you can program the AI to be like, make a Nick Bultman art original, but make it look like he actually created it. Like you can prompt that. And now that AI is so good that it'll make something indistinguishable from AI, I think we're approaching that reality. So yeah, I think art specifically should be more regulated. Yeah.
Okay. Now this brings me to the second part of our call.
Okay.
I'll be explaining my second, third, and fourth question, why I asked them specifically. The first one is just to know your point of view. For the second one, it was, is it okay for AI to be trained off of artist's work? So the thing is, when you say to ChatGPT, can you make this drawing, but let's say make the person smile and stuff? If the drawing is painted with more colors or it's painted like anime or some stuff, the AI is learning how to create more styles and how to combine them. So
Hmm.
that's the way how it's being trained every day. Then should every artist have copyrights on their work? That's the thing. I have mentorship class and we have a specialist there who is helping us with our prototypes and stuff. And he was explaining to me how he put it drawing. I don't remember which one. And he was like, "Can you make this drawing for me?" And the AI says no. But then he explains, "Can you make this drawing but change it just a little bit, like let's say the hair and stuff. If you do this, it makes it for you. But then you can, let's say, there are filters everywhere, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. You can choose a paper-like filter and put it over, and then here you
Hmm.
go. It's a drawing, let's say." And do you believe AI should be more restricted when creating art? The thing that I'm writing about is that every AI, every person that creates free or paid websites that creates music, creates um, poems or whatever, or some images, should have put in the code in the system of AI that it cannot use any of the drawings that are from professionals. I don't care if they're someone that doesn't have a lot of customers, have a lot of customers, it doesn't matter. Still, it shouldn't use or create similar to their work just because people are using the AI every day more and more, and it's advancing every day more and more. And some people, like you or other artists, may lose their job because of it.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for explaining that. I think we share the same fears about AI, and hopefully my answers can give a little bit more color and support since I'm a commercial artist for your project.
Well, I'm actually really happy that you did this call for me, and thank you for
Yeah,
letting me record this.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to help out.